We just got a couple calls on the board just now. They're coming over as a person stab. We're getting federal and then Buren.
As a 16-year-old falls to the ground, police are flagged down.
It appears to be bottom line. We need the ambulance over here.
It's just before 11:30 Tuesday night in the Loop.
Callers say that a female victim has been stabbed on the side by the 7-Eleven.
The victim is 16-year-old Heaven Taylor. Police say she died at the hospital. This is the scene minutes before police arrive. A still frame from a video posted to Facebook shows a group of teens arguing below the L tracks. Words turn to violence, and Taylor ends up on the ground.
The offender appears to be a female one. She was wearing a red bra with black shorts.
Police have not named a suspect or announced any arrests.
"16-year-old Heaven Taylor was a loving, loyal, and ambitious young girl with a bold and bright personality to match. She was also a junior at UCAN Academy South, an alternative school on Chicago's South Side, where art was one of her favorite subjects. Heaven was also really close with her family and friends. They were near and dear to her heart, and she never played about any of them. Most importantly, Heaven was a mother to a 2-year-old son, whom she worked hard to create a better life for, daily. Sadly, less than a year ago, Heaven's mother and brother were involved in a shooting at a Southside McDonald's where her mother was injured and her 29-year-old brother would sadly lose his life. Although just 16, Heaven had goals and dreams. She wanted a better life for both her and her baby boy. No one close to her could have ever imagined the tragic events that would soon take place. Just before 11:30 p.m. on October 4th, Chicago police responded to the first block of State and West Van Buren Streets for reports of a public disturbance. Upon arrival, they would locate a group of teens and an unresponsive teen girl lying on the ground.
People who live near the scene say they felt increasingly concerned for their safety the past few months. They say people who hang out in the area frequently get into fights, the most recent incident resulting in the stabbing death of a 16-year-old girl. The attack occurred near 50 West Van Buren just before 11:30 Tuesday night. Ella Pinckney, who lives in an apartment building overlooking that block, ran to the window.
We heard a bunch of noise, which has actually become pretty normal on this block.
Police say two groups of people were arguing underneath the L tracks when an unknown female pulled out a knife and stabbed a teenage girl to death during the fight. Ella Pinckney says the neighborhood feels increasingly unsafe.
It used to be like, okay, if you want to go on a walk at night, just go with a friend. But now we don't even feel like we can do that.
The stabbing happened behind Pritzker Park. Alderman Lamont Robinson says his office has been getting lots of calls from residents and business owners complaining of fights in that corridor. He says the park has started closing earlier in the evening to try to curb crime.
It's a big issue. This is on the north end of the 4th Ward. I've been working with the mayor's office as well as CPD to make sure that we have an officer there, as well as put cameras up.
Robinson says the effort is underway to access surveillance video from cameras in the area to help police find out who did this.
The victim was identified as 16-year-old Heaven Taylor, who was rushed to Northwestern Hospital in critical condition. She was sadly passed away after being stabbed twice in the chest. A look into the case revealed that Heaven and several friends took the Red Line into the Loop and were en route to a restaurant when they walked past a group of about 15 to 20 people who were hanging around outside the Metropolitan Correctional Center. As Heaven and her group of friends passed the group once again, members of the larger group yelled that they wanted to fight one of Heaven's friends. Heaven then approached one of the female teens, while others urged them to fight. Video taken by someone at the scene shows both Heaven and the teen throwing punches at each other before Heaven stepped back. Moments later, a female from the other group pulled out an object and lunged towards Heaven. The two grappled for a moment before Heaven stumbled down Van Buren and collapsed. Police officers nearby were flagged down while responding to a separate call. Once on scene, they would find Heaven lying in the street with 2 stab wounds, including a 2-inch gash to the chest that pierced her heart. Officers applied a chest seal bandage and she was taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where she would ultimately pass away. The suspect fled the scene, jumping the entryway at a Blue Line station, where she changed her clothes before getting onto a train. She also had cuts on her hand as if she had been handling a blade, and witnesses were quickly able to identify her name. Chicago police would announce the arrest of 18-year-old Egypt Otis of Oaklawn, who surrendered to police. She is pending juvenile court cases for aggravated battery and robbery charges. An assistant public defender said Otis may have been defending herself, but the judge noted in her ruling that Heaven was unarmed and nearly a foot shorter than Otis. Otis's alleged attempts to somewhat conceal her identity were among the reasons to keep the 18-year-old detained for the time being. While there was prior animosity between the groups, Heaven's attempt to step back signaled an attempt to de-escalate the situation before Otis allegedly pulled a weapon. The prosecutor then went on to say that it appeared to be Egypt and a group of friends who introduced weapons and lethal force that resulted in Heaven's death. Heaven's heartbroken mother reflects on the loss of her daughter and says she wants her to be remembered as a great mother, a great aunt, and an amazing daughter. She still has a pin and 3 screws in her arm from the shooting she was involved in with her late son. One day at a time, she says. One day at a time. The city of Chicago has taken not one, but both of her children, lost to senseless gun violence, and her son's murder remains unsolved. In a statement made by Heaven's school, UCAN Academy South, they said the following: "We will miss her outgoing personality and spirit and her drive to be her best self. The entire UCAN agency stands steadfastly behind our commitment to violence intervention and prevention services throughout Chicago. We will continue to provide much-needed support." Egypt Otis is charged with first-degree murder in the death of Heaven Taylor, and a judge has ordered that she remain in custody. It is currently unclear exactly what started the argument and whether or not the two teens knew each other prior to Heaven's murder. The case remains ongoing.
You get your ass back.